Been a little while since we had a video on this Trackjeep, but that's okay because Rome wasn't built in a day, and I guess Trackjeeps aren't either. I have a whole pile of parts waiting to go into this thing that I'm really excited for, so I'm going to give a quick breakdown on what we're about to be doing next on this. So what's been keeping this thing parked here is the steering, or lack thereof. It was put together, it's got like a hydraulic steering system on it, but it doesn't really have the right stuff. So what it had was these kind of repurposed plow parts, I guess, and this would be right and left. But it didn't go anywhere. It didn't turn the system at all, really. It was running this little tiny pump, and it's got this reservoir over here which takes up a ton of space in this little engine bay. So we're going to be removing all of this, and we have a orbital hydraulic steering valve going in with a new factory style pump, and also a mechanical fuel pump to go on the stock location. So this whole setup was pretty bad. Still see everything flexing and moving, so excited to get the new good stuff in there. Starting to pull it apart here, and this, I always thought this was a hose, like a covering over a line so it didn't get burned on the motor, but this is actually what the fluid was flowing through onto that nipple, and you can see the leak. So this system might have just been out of fluid, but regardless, it's inferior to what we're going to be installing, so I'm just going to keep on going ahead and removing it. Still got to remove the steering wheel and the column, but all the hoses and everything are out of there. Under hood, much more space without that big bulky tank, and plenty of room for activities down here as well. Let's show you what's going back in. And this is most of what all is going into here. We have a steering shaft, fancy steering wheel with a quick disconnect, a plate to weld on and mount. This is the big ticket item here. If I can grab it. The orbital steering valve. This thing isn't cheap, took a while to get ready to buy it, but this is going to be all the difference here. It's basically a pump in itself. None of that just one direction stuff. I got a CVF bracket to hold the new power steering pump. We got a mechanical fuel pump, so I like those, pulleys and everything, so let's go get these parts into the Jeep. First of the new parts to go on is this mechanical fuel pump. I like them for their simplicity. It had an electric pump in here, like mounted on the floor, and it also had, like, when I first got it, it had bad boat tank and this bad tank, so I'm going to take this out and run it off of this temporary can just to fire it up before we build a good system. Alright, this tank is out, and in here, pretty cool piece of the original fuel line survived all these years, 70 years later, and look at the mud and dirt in here layered. I'm gonna go ahead and clean this out. First start attempt with a new fuel pump. Running pretty good and smooth. Sounds nice. Well, that's pretty cool. This thing never had a regulator or anything on it before, so it was just straight dumping gas into the motor, and when you'd start it, it would shoot fire out and stuff, which would be cool if it was doing it all the time because there's a fire-breathing monster, but it's not. So we have a mechanical pump back in there. It's running off of its own supply, which is cool. I got to finish up a fuel system and stuff, but for now this is good. And I'm going to split this video here, and I'm going to make a specialty one dedicated to getting the hydraulic steering setup into this. That's going to be the next one. I'm going to get started on that, and hope you enjoyed the video.